Yes, it is a bright Thursday morning here, 6th of August, 2026. Not so cold, not so warm, hapo tu katikati. And that's how we wake you up this morning on TV47 Breakfast. My name is Fred Indimuli. How hot is your coffee?
All right, my name is Annie Odida. So good to have you with us this morning. It's a pre-Friday. Yes, so the week is going by so fast as well. The very first Thursday of the month of August. And in light of a World Breastfeeding Week, we'll be having that conversation later on. Are Kenyans exclusively breastfeeding? The global recommended target of exclusive breastfeeding is 70%. Are we there as a country? And what can we do to support moms, especially working moms, with regard to exclusive breastfeeding, especially at workplaces? So we'll be having that conversation today. Do you think working moms are supported? Yes,
they are. I've seen a number of organizations that have already set up nursing rooms for their employees, so that yes, it doesn't mean you come with your child to work, but at least you can go pump milk, then you have a fridge, you can store it, then later on at least you get some relief working throughout the day, which is, I think, a positive thing if many other institutions could do the same. Those are just a few. Yeah?
Fridge at work for breastfeeding moms?
What, a free?
Fridge at work for breastfeeding moms?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
They're there. And even flexi hours. Some new moms are given flexi hours, so probably they leave the workplace earlier than usual to go home and attend to the baby.
Yeah.
So I think we've moved on, we've really progressed, which is something positive, but not everyone has taken up that, and probably they should.
Yep.
Yes.
So we'll be having that conversation later on.
Yes. Later on also, today being a Thursday, man-to-man talk, of course, will be there. The silent pressure of being a provider. Yes. Kuna pressure, umenyamaza tu, lakini unajua lazima uprovide. What does it mean to you as a man? That coming later on. But before all that, of course, we'll be having State of the Nation, discussing the big headlines today. Gachagua all over the pages. What is happening in Mount Kenya? Everyone now is up in arms. Gachagua amekuwa mkali sana. Me, but listening to the guy is just saying, hey, you go out, popularize your party.
He is making a lot of sense, actually.
Why do you want to sit back and benefit from others? Just go and popularize your party like I'm doing.
Yeah. Go and consolidate.
Exactly.
You want to ride on his wave? Have
you realized that there's a general laziness among a certain crop of politicians?
Yes.
They're very lazy. They cannot be seen. Wakikuja ni kunugunika tu ananungunika. Go out, be like Sifuna, you know, let's see you, like Gachagua, like President William Ruto. At least we are seeing them.
Yes.
Yeah? It is already a campaign season. If at all you feel you need to be elected president, go out there. Let us see you. Be on the headlines. We can see William Ruto on the front pages. We can see Gachagua.
Every day.
We can see Sifuna somewhere. Unakaa tu chini unangojea uletewe. Wewe wache hiyo maneno. Unawaambia nini?
Koma kabisa.
Koma kabisa wewe.
So Rigathi Gachagua is making a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing that on State of the Nation. My panel, Harrison Kenyanjui, Dr. Sarah Mwaikuna Nti Kilemi, Fwamba Nsifwamba, and Mesha Kodede, starting at 6:30.
All right, to interact with us through our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube on X. It's TV47 Digital. My handle is at Annie_Odida.
Mine is at Fred Indimuli.
Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story ni Yetu. Let's see how the weather's looking this morning. All right, in Samburu, it's a partly sunny day today, 17 degrees this morning, highs of 29 degrees, not so bad in Samburu. Kisii, light rains expected today, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. It's a mostly cloudy day today in Machakos, 14 degrees this morning, highs of 22. That's as far as Samburu, Kisii, and Machakos counties are concerned. It's a mostly sunny day in Migori County. 28 degrees are the highs today, 16 degrees this morning. Also partly sunny day in Kajiado County, 14 degrees this morning, highs of 23 degrees. And finally, Nairobi, it's a mostly cloudy day, 14 degrees this morning, highs of 23. That's the state of the weather.
Yes, it's a bit more comfortable today in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Hata leo your sitting posture is much better. Jana ulikuwa nakaa kama kuku imenyeshewa asubuhi unatetemeka, shivering in studio.
Koma.
We had to put on the AC for her to survive.
Ni wewe ulikuwa unalia baridi the whole show yesterday. But 29 degrees for Samburu, I'm actually surprised. To me, it looks like such a very hot place. So 29 is not bad for a place like Samburu.
Niliona mtu akiuliza, what is July doing in August? Because it's really cold in most places. But anyway, let's get some inspiration this morning with the quote of the day.
You have the power to rewrite your story at any point. You are not defined by your past mistakes or failures, but by your ability to rise, to try again, and to keep moving forward with purpose.
Yes, you have the power to rewrite your story. You can start over at any point.
Are you rewriting yours?
Well, there's nothing to rewrite.
Ama sai script ishashika.
You're
taking off.
Having the time of my life. Yeah. So basically, you can start over at any point. Kama kazi imeisha. You know, I've seen people making TikToks of, can I start over at 50?
You can start over even at 70. Yes. As long as you're alive, anything can happen. Yeah. Donald Trump became president at 72. Yes? Many people believe, oh, if you've not achieved something by a certain age, it means you'll never. Yes. You can do anything at any time as long as you're alive.
But you should not be living in your parents at 25.
Nani amesema? Whose rules? Whose rules? They are my parents.
Yes. Where else would you be living?
Anyway, let's take a look at the newspapers today. Right, the standard wamerudi ile nini yao ya kuchoma. Sasa wanasema trial and error. Yeah, and they have the image of the president on the front page today. At least they're not using AI photos. Yeah. So trial and error and uncertainty. President William Ruto is increasingly abandoning policies his administration once championed, raising fresh questions about the direction of his government. From the university funding model to tax measures and fuel subsidies, many flagship initiatives have been revised, delayed, or quietly shelved after fierce public resistance and implementation setbacks. As his administration rolls out fresh promises to replace troubled programs, the constant policy shifts are creating uncertainty, undermining public confidence, and exposing weaknesses in the government's planning and execution. So this is the main story, and at least some of the pain points here on the front page. They say the collapse of university funding model. Government abandoned the student-centered funding model after years of investment. And then there's now uncertainty over funding for nearly 300,000 incoming university students. Struggles of Hustler Fund. Hey, we're still talking about Hustler Fund. High loan default rate, about 12.5 billion. Shift in focus to the Nyota Fund. Hii moja ikikwama tunaenda ingine. Hivyo hivyo hakuna kukwama. But tumesema you can rewrite your story at any point in time. Yeah. Human rights concerns, rising cases of excessive force, abductions and deaths linked to security operations, fears of lobby groups or violation of liberties and lack of accountability. That's the main story on the front page of this paper. It features on page 4, from education to health, Ruto's flip-flops spark uncertainty. The president abandoning so many policy and making U-turns. Frequent reversals of flagship programs fuel uncertainty. University funding, healthcare, Hustler Fund, cost of living, public debt, tax burden. Because, you know, critics question increased borrowing and the sustainability of government spending. When he was campaigning, he said, we will not be borrowing.
Yes.
Hiyo story ya kukopa tumewacha.
So you learn we are borrowing 144 million per hour.
Per hour.
Per hour.
Who are we? Ahmed campaign promises, health workers strike, human rights concerns, political realignments, public confidence. And he said he'll never mistreat his deputy like he was mistreated. Yeah.
Yes, he's not mistreating anyone.
He's not.
He's not.
He just gets rid of them. Yes. He does not mistreat. Anyway, page 2 of this paper, University Dream comes with bigger debt under Ruto's new proposal. That proposal, when it says that anyone admitted to a public institution for tertiary learning, university, TVET, will get full state funding. Yes, now this headline says, Otalipa. It comes with bigger debt. Yeah. Striking nurses dig in despite order to resume work is another story there. There's a lawyer who has spent the night in cells over 61 million shillings gold scam. Because we're talking more about gold. How much gold are we producing as a country? Yeah.
Kama we're actually producing gold.
But ikiwa kila mtu, how many people are dealing in gold? We must be producing a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lakini you have to know someone who knows someone.
Who knows someone. Opposition fractures force Uhuru Kalonzo into emergency meeting. Yeah. So there was a crisis meeting between retired President Uhuru Kenyatta and Wiper Patriotic Front leader Kalonzo Musyoka to resolve internal wrangles rocking the opposition. Remember after the meeting on Monday, mambo ika sambaratika. So akasema, probably italeta shida mahali. New Linda party challenges Sifuna movement. A fresh dispute over political identity has emerged after a new group moved to register a party bearing the Linda name with colors similar to the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna-led Linda Mwananchi movement. So this is a problem. The Linda Mwananchi team is trying to register Linda Mwananchi as a party.
Yes.
One, kuna mtu asha register Linda Mwananchi. Yeah, anaitwa someone Wanyonyi, I think Charles Wanyonyi. Now there's another group that has gone with the same colors. Now they want to register Linda something, Linda.
Linda Bora.
Now, anyway, that's a small story there on page 6. Yes.
Reminds me of that story you're telling us about Raila Amolo Odinga's ODM. Ile mtu alienda akaregister and then Raila asije akaenda
Yes,
anataka
he's actually a senator right now, senator for Kitui.
History repeating itself.
Yes, they do. They always do that. Alikuwa anatembea nayo kwa briefcase. On the back page, I think we've moved back to local football. Gor coach upbeat with his side ahead of Champions League battle. So Gor Mahia's coach Akonor anasema wako sawa. Kwa hivyo CAF Champions League qualifiers after Kogalo booked a place in the tournament final. So they're doing well in Rwanda, where the tournament is going on. And Arsenal agreeing deal to sign Guimares. Arsenal have reportedly agreed a £75 million. That's around 13 billion shillings. With Newcastle to sign their captain Bruno Guimares. The Brazilian midfielder's future has been subject of fevered speculation. So Arsenal are doing well. Hata ule Vini Jr. akikataa sisi tuko sawa. Kae huko kwao Madrid. Anyway, that's the standard.
Your party inaitwa Linda Kenya.
Linda Kenya. So they're just trying to create confusion. If I was Sifuna, abandon the movement, come up with a new party haraka haraka, no wasting time. Because even ODM wasted a lot of time. Remember, there's a point there was even ODM Kenya, which turned to Wiper. Ule jamaa mwenye aliiba hiyo jina ni mtu wa Wiper.
Aliiba.
Tusisema aliiba sababu alienda tu akaregister.
Tuangalie Taifa Leo. Hamtaingia DCP kienyeji. I love that headline. Yeah, mtafanya vitu kienyeji. Chama cha Democracy for Citizens Party kinachoongozwa na Rigathi Gachagua kimeunda kamati maalumu ya watu 7 kuchuja viongozi wanaotaka kuhama kutoka chama cha United Democratic Alliance UDA kabla ya kupokelewa rasmi. Hatua hiyo imechukuliwa baada ya kutokea mvutano mkali kati ya Gachagua na baadhi ya washirika wake waliochaguliwa kuhusu iwapo wahamiaji kutoka UDA wanapaswa kupokelewa bila masharti. Alikuwa naibu rais aunda jopo la watu 7 kupiga msasa wanaotaka kujiunga na chama kutoka serikali.
Vile inafaa. Yes. Watu wamekaa kwa chama ingine, wamekaa wana criticize chama alafu sasa wanataka kuruka. Niliona mmoja alijitokeza mahali hapa DCI akaanza kuongea ni kama ni kana kwamba anataka kuvuka barabara lakini hasemi, lakini mazungumzo yake ukisikiza ni kama anataka ku cross the road.
Yes.
Watu kama hao ndio inasemekana hamtaingia tu ufwa.
Kienyeji. Unaongea chafu alafu unataka kuja kujoin. Actually, I think people who are doing that, they want to go there and spy.
Why don't they just open their own party? Because they've been criticizing this particular party for a while. Why don't you open just your... And you realize now we're in the season of defections. People are very quick to move to UDA from I don't know which party. People are moving to DCP from another party. And then some small parties which are not even receiving any defectors. Wanataka kazi ifanywe on their behalf.
Yes. And consolidate watu.
Fanya kazi wewe.
Vidokezo zaidi, Ruto na Uhuru waandaa kongamano. Rais Ruto na kiongozi wa ODM Oburu Oginga wameitisha kikao cha siku 3 Naivasha. Yes, that's the story on page 2. Yes. Wanasema kwamba William Ruto na kiongozi wa ODM wameitisha kikao cha siku 3 kule Naivasha kitakachowaleta pamoja magavana, manaibu wao na wabunge wanaounga mkono serikali jumuishi. Sasa mkutano huo unafanyika serikali ikikabiliwa na mashambulizi makali ya kisiasa kutoka kwa muungano wa upinzani na vuguvugu la Linda Mwananchi ambalo limeongeza kasi ya kampeni za kuzuia Ruto kupata muhula wa pili. Watumia mfumo wa malipo kula. Hiyo ni kaunti zimegeuza mfumo wa malipo ya dharura kuwa njia mpya ya kupora pesa za umma. Habari za nje pia, Bia ateua majenerali chini ya maji. Alifanya mabadiliko makubwa katika jeshi licha ya kutoonekana kwa miezi miwili. Paul Bia. Kule juu zaidi, mateso tupu, wauguzi wakikaa ngumu mgomoni. Strike bado inaendelea ya health workers, and that's the Taifa Leo.
Tuangazie Daily Nation, habari ni ile Gachagua conditions for Ruto defectors caught between hardliners demanding tough terms to admit pro-government politicians seeking to switch loyalties and moderates pushing for a united front in the Mount Kenya region. DCP leader forms a 7-member committee to vet those who want to jump ship, but critics question his motives. Stories on page 4. So many people are eager to, especially after the All-Kalau by-elections. Some of them were even campaigning for different candidates. So wale wenye wamefanya kazi for this particular party are wondering, you've just been watching us working hard to popularize this new party. Then now you just want to come and stroll in. Na mpate kiti na ukae. We wacha. I understand them. I really, politics is about loyalty to a certain extent.
Yes.
Yeah. Big names risk being locked out of former deputy president's party. How TSC will score 34,000 teachers for promotions. That's another story on the front page. The main story on page 17. Pale juu, ODM and UDA summon troops for 2027 plan. Remember, they've not even begun talking about coalitions. They still are working within the broad-based arrangement. So this one is for elected governors and other leaders, elected leaders. They come together and see, okay, fine, how are we doing? At least you can see some level of organization in the broad-based arrangement. Yeah. So now they're taking a retreat to discuss this. Meanwhile, on the other side, hey, watu wanasema tu, wewe, you're not the king, you're not this, you're not the other. Rough season for politicians, top politicians facing auction. Yesterday we saw the story about former Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria in the papers. We've been following the story about Raphael Tuju. Mary Wamboi, the owner of this big hotel along Kiambu Road, Eastern Bypass, Pia, has been in the news. Swarup Mishra and his hospitals. This is the first time I'm seeing Hezena Lematian, the senator, on this list of top politicians facing auction. The story is on page 7. And on page 7, there are even more pictures of these people. Moses Kuria, Patrick Wainaina, Ferdinand Waititu, Philip Okundi. Very interesting story, Under the Hammer. Yeah. You can read more on that on page 7. Let's take a look at other big headlines. Of course, the music festivals, National Music Festival enters day 4 today at the Kibabii University. Young children there doing very well. Young performers use poems on food, privacy, and technology to enthrall the audience. Lovers of music festivals, something for you there. All right. And judges urge Parliament to enact law regulating DNA testing. Sasa wanataka kusema watu wengine ukitaka kwenda DNA hautaweza kwenda. The High Court has urged Parliament to enact a law regulating DNA testing, saying the growing use of genetic evidence in inheritance, paternity, and other family disputes has outpaced Kenya's legal framework. Interesting. Kwa hivyo kabla hiyo regulations ikuje kufungie, enda DNA saa hii mapema. Anaweza kuja kusema hapana, DNA haikubaliwi tena. All right.
Lakini that's bad though.
No, there's no law. So we're just speculating what the law, if at all it's made, what it would mean.
We imagine if it becomes law.
What?
DNA kutolewa. That you don't have to do DNA.
No. That one people would say no to that. Because watu wamekuwa crafty sana, unfortunately. DNA testing imesaidia watu wengi sana. Hii pesa unafanyia kazi alafu unaenda tu unapoteza bure, hapana, tutaki hiyo. Sekafa kule nyuma, Kagame Cup, Gor Mahia pale wanapigwa picha wakipiga tizi. They're heading into the finals. Congratulations to them and wish them all the best. That's the Daily Nation.
People Daily, NADCO's executive power push that powerful political players are quietly reviving proposals to expand the executive, setting the stage for a high-stakes battle that could redefine alliances, succession politics, and the 2027 race. This story has been captured on page 7. There's a president, deputy president, prime minister, and then 2 deputy prime ministers. And the official office of the opposition leader, according to NADCO report.
This is what some of this was contained in the BBI. NADCO are coming up with the same. Because if you look at all these coalitions, they will need to expand the executive to accommodate the many luminaries, especially the united opposition, if at all they take over government. Even on the other side, fine, deputy party leader, then what happens to the others who are interested in deputy president's position? How do you accommodate them in the government? So I think the conversation will very quickly turn to that and will receive, if at all this goes to parliament, it can receive inaitwaje ile common support, unanimous support.
It's actually former CS Moses Kuria who is pushing for the revival of BBI. Other quick headlines: battle for Mount Kenya, parties move to break DCP's grip. Why Kindiki's absence from key state house events is fueling speculation. And inside Arati's quiet talks that could redraw Gusii politics. That's the People Daily, people and politics.
Right. Same discussions, political, on the front page of the Star. Ruto's strategy to build new 2027 grassroots army of voters. It talks about what he's been doing in State House, Nairobi. Yesterday, he hosted sheikhs and village elders. Walikuwa wengi sana. Juzi he was hosting members of the Quakers Church. That's a Friends Church. Today, he'll be hosting members from the security, and it was a private security docket. Wale hizi security firms, the ones that guards residential estates and businesses. Wale munaitanga wochi. Yeah,
Soldier.
Security guards. So, but they are hosting the...
Squeezy ni soldier.
Ni soldier. Soldier. But he's not hosting soldiers when he's hosting their leadership. Yeah. So they'll be in studio. They'll be at State House. So that's the president's new strategy to build new 2027 grassroots army of voters. Is it working? And then there's an undated photo here of Kalonzo Musyoka atop a vehicle addressing residents of Makutano in Yatta constituency during a Meet the People tour to solidify his base ahead of next year's general election. We should see more of this. That's what we are saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Because to be honest, this is a rare photo. In fact, they're not saying when it happened. But we need to see these leaders, if at all you're interested in becoming president, come out. It's only a year now to the next election. We need to see you. We're just seeing President William Ruto and Gachagua and Sifuna. Where are the rest? And so many of them are interested in running for president. Yeah. All right. There's a good story here on the front page. Win for Kenyatta National Hospital nurses as SRC approves higher allowances. So that's good news for those people, yeah? Ni kama hadithi zimeisha. There's a new acting CEO for IBC anaitwa Ruth Kulundu. Yes. And on the back page, history beckons Gor Mahia in the finals of the Sekafa Kagame Cup. We wish them all the best. That's the Star, fresh, independent, different. Grab yourself a copy of this paper for only 60 shillings.
Very quickly, Business Daily, half of state tender winners keep honors details secret. That honors of companies which secured over 57% of tenders in ministries and parastatals kept their identities, addresses and office locations secret in breach of the law, raising fresh concerns over transparency in state contracts. So beneficial honors in 14,819 contracts remain secret, and the law requires disclosures of investors in state deals.
Some of them do not exist in the briefcase companies, and they're winning multi-billion-dollar tenders. Yeah, very unfortunate.
Sisi unajua tumekuja kuzindikiza wengine in this country.
Hata tujue tunafanya nini Nairobi.
This story is on page 2. 3 bank CEOs face charges in 363 million shillings fraud suit. Yes, that is another story captured on page 2. On the ticker, cooking oil prices climb back to highs of the 2022 crisis. Cusco ordered to refund Mahasibu Sacco 489 million shillings, and Karen Langata lead Nairobi suburbs land price growth. That's the Business Daily.
All right, from the Business Daily, let's cross over to Uganda. Take a look at the dailies there. Unfortunately, we do not have the Daily Monitor, but we have the front page of the New Vision. It talks about schools defying government timetable in a report, and the Education Ministry has directed action on rebellious head teachers. Wanafanya tu mambo yao vile wanataka. Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni is on a working visit to Tanzania and is pictured there. There's a meeting happening in Tanzania, and Kenya is represented there by Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki. Crossover to Tanzania, yes, where that meeting is happening. Africa seeks homegrown funds for infrastructure. So President Samia Suluhu Hassan has joined African leaders in calling for the continent to fund its own transformation, urging greater domestic resource mobilization, policy stability, and value addition to close Africa's $100 billion annual infrastructure financing gap and accelerate job, energy ports, and digital connectivity. So amepigwa picha pale na wageni wengi. Gazeti ya Mwananchi, ukuaji sekta ya nyumba waibua hofu, ni baada ya kuacha kitendawili, majengo mapya yanaota kama uyoga kila kona, wakati mengine mengi yaliyopo hayana wapangaji. Maswali ya tawala, wachumi wakuna vichwa. Afrika yaelekeza nguvu kwenye miundo mbinu, matters infrastructure. Na mkutano huu ambao unahudhuriwa na wengi viongozi wa Afrika, na namuona pale hata kwa hii picha hii namuona naibu wa rais wa Kenya Professor Kithure Kindiki ameketi hapo karibu na rais wa Tanzania Samia Suluhu Hassan, akiwa na viongozi mbalimbali kwenye mkutano mkuu wa wanahisa wa Afrika na jukwaa la miundombinu Afrika katika kituo cha mikutano cha kimataifa cha Julius Nyerere jijini Dar es Salaam jana. Kenya inakuwa represented pale na naibu wa rais. Hayo ndio magazeti ya humu nchini na katika kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Turejelea hapa nyumbani tuangazie Karakacha. Na tunaanza na gani? Tunaanza na the one on the Daily Nation. Iko na security screening sasa pale. Ukitaka kuingia mlimani, pande ule mwingine is none other than the DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua. Amesema no one comes to the mountain except through me. Wamekasirika sana. Watu wako upande mwingine ni caricature of a DP party leader Justin Muturi. Kuna ule jamaa alikuanga wa Jubilee, Jeremiah Kioni, kuna sufuria kichwani. Na hata Peter Munya, wote wameambiwa hamuingia hapa. Walikasirika wakaenda wakaita press.
Sema Rigiji ni bully.
He's a bully.
The Star bado iko na same angle. Fold yours. This is the hottest political outfit. Yeah. So walikuwa wanaambiwa fold your parties, mwingie yangu. Wavai ya green. Hata Martha Karua amevaa purple ile yake. Utavai ya green sasa. Kuingia the mountain. Ndio ufike kwenye mountain iko hapo nyuma. The Star. All right. The Standard shifts focus to matter sports and what happened to the Starlets at the recently concluded AFCON tournament. So the team wametupwa hapo kwa nini ya takataka. Walikuwa group A. Walizabwa mabao 4-0 na Senegal, wakapigwa bao 2. 4 na Morocco, wakapigwa bao 2 bila jibu na Senegal. Bao 1 au 2. 1 bila jibu. Algeria wakawazaba mabao 2. Kenya walitoka huko bila kufunga bao. 3 games played, 0 wins and 7 goals conceded. Hiyo ilikuwa uchungu. Tuangalie Stano's take now, People Daily, and there's a caricature here of Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, surrounded by a lot of hooks. So and baits, yeah. So tunajua kwamba he has very little room to move without being caught. Yes, he's the only fish in the ocean right now. Kila mtu anataka kumbait upande wake. Uhuru Kenyatta na bait huko. William Ruto anataka mambo yake. Who else is interested? Even the United Opposition want him. Linda Mwananchi? Ni wao wanataka Linda Mwananchi. Hata pia wanataka so Linda Mwananchi is another fish. Yes. But for today, hawana chama. Kalonzo Musyoka. When he hated. For today, Kalonzo Musyoka is the only fish in the sea.
All right. So those are the main discussions. Of course, siasa za mlimani, back on the front pages, Rigathi Gachagua amesema, you cannot come to the mountain except through me. Watu wamekasirika sana, lakini mutadu.
Consolidate watu.
Fanya kazi. Yeah, you can't be running a party and hoping that people will come your way to use your party, yet you're not popularizing the party. We are not even seeing you. You just want to benefit from the work others have done.
Yeah.
We watch. In politics, we are not going to accept that even as Kenyans.
Yes.
No. Every party should go out, popularize this. Even the constitution demands that any party that has a presidential candidate must have support in at least 24 counties. Yeah, and including physical offices. That is the work that a party should do. You just don't open a briefcase party alafu nakaa wewe koma wewe.
Unangoja wale anapiga kelele zaidi wa join.
Wengine wanafanya kazi. All right, so these are the big discussions today. And you can interact with us through our social media pages on X TV47 Digital, on Facebook TV47 Kenya, on Instagram as well, and even on YouTube. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag story ni yetu. You want to give them our handle? My handle is at Fred Ndimuli.
Yes, my handle is at Annie_Dida. Karibu sao kutuonyesha traffic.
Nimekumbushwa hatujaangalia mabarabara. Let's quickly take a look at the roads around the city. A better situation than yesterday on Eastern Bypass, slow but moving traffic on all the problematic sections, especially Utawala and closer to the City Cabanas area. Nothing much to report there. Outer Ring Road, areas around Feather Tasia, not so bad, moving traffic as well. Jogoo Road, it's moving as well. Makadara, not so bad today. Even Shauri Moyo heading towards City Stadium is not so bad. The biggest problem I've seen so far is that entry into the CBD, Haile Selassie Avenue. That section between Railways Roundabout and Landis Road Roundabout, it's busy just like it was yesterday on both sides of the road. People moving closer to Marikiti and those areas around there. Let's take a look at Thika Road. And Thika Road, and I'm going as far back as Ruiru. Not much traffic there, but once you get to Kahawa Sukari, there's a bit of traffic, a bit of slowdown there. A long stretch of red, meaning there's traffic there, but after that, it's smooth all the way. Even Githurai is not bad today. Kasarani, not so bad as well. The only place you encounter traffic is at that Utali Drift, and it's moving. Even the Pangani interchange is not so bad today. I think traffic is moving quite fast today, meaning even guys from Kiambu Road can join Thika Road very fast. To the other side of the CBD, Wayakiwe, ukiteremka kuingia the main central business district, areas around Gitaru, Udhiru, na kwingineko Kabete, Kangemi, it's smooth all the way getting into town, nothing to worry about. Mombasa Road too, all the way from the airport, even going as far back as Mlolongo, not much traffic. The other quick roads are Ngong Road. Na leo ni kama mjatoka, kwani leo ni siku gani? It's a Thursday. Ni kama hamna haraka kwenda mahali. Southern Bypass is green all the way from Gitaru paka Ole Sereni. And Langata Road too. All the way into town, it's looking green. So not much traffic today. Ni kama, kwani mulikuwa mmeambiwa kuna holiday? Isipokuwa watu wa Thika Road peke yake ndio wanakuanga na shida. That's the traffic situation this morning. All right, and just a reminder of the discussion we're having after the break. Harrison Kinyanjui Wakili will be here alongside Fomba NC Fomba, Mesha Kodede, and Dr. Sarah Mwakyuna Nti Kilemi. Do stand by for that as we take a look at the big headlines this morning.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environment.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system isikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, hii ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Nipatie.
Unajua kama unaoa mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Your turn. Mzee ni burudike mchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, hii ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Nipatie.
Unajua kama unaoa mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Your turn. Mzee ni burudike mchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning. You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza simu yako.
Hamna pesa.
I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking one?
Good morning once again and welcome back. This is TV47 Breakfast. Time for State of the Nation. A look at the big headlines. The big story today on most of the papers is purely political. Of course, what's happening in Mount Kenya region, DCP, vis-a-vis the other parties there, and Rigathi Gachagua, the DCP party leader, insisting that there has to be checks and balances in how people are crisscrossing and insisting that, yes, parties there have to do their work as well in popularizing and mobilizing their regions too. A big talking point, but that will come later. Meanwhile, ODM and the UDA have retreated for a 3-day, they've gone for a 3-day retreat in Naivasha, just to map out what's happening on their side of the political divide. And probably let's start from there this morning. We're privileged to have with me in studio Fwamba NC Fwamba, who's a political analyst. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And Mesha Kodede, political commentator, is back after a break, a long one. Karibu sana, it's good to see you back.
Thank you, Fred.
Karibu sana.
Thank you. Yeah.
So ODM and UDA have taken a retreat. Discussions around coalition building had taken a back seat for a while. Even the agenda, I don't know if they're going to be talking about coalition building there. They seem to have taken to have adopted a wait-and-see approach. Everyone right now is watching what is happening on the other side. The revival of Azimio, with Uhuru Kenyatta leading that. What is happening right now with DCP. The defections that are happening. The other smaller parties, especially from the Mount Kenya East side, and what is happening there. Do you agree that, yes, there's a lot of redrawing and recalibrating and re-looking at their strategy right now? UDA and ODM and their working plan. Fwamba.
There is a chapter in one of my most favorite books called The Lord of the Rings. The title is called, of the chapter is Many Meetings. Mm-hmm. And I think we are getting into that season of many meetings because every political arrangement wants to ensure that they do whatever is best for them to emerge victorious or have enough parliamentary seats in the 2027 elections. And interestingly, so many Kenyans are looking at the kind of relationship ODM and UDA are going to have, especially during the days of post-BAMBA. And on the other hand, I think the opposition also having their own issues. Interestingly, they are having a lot of challenges with the Rigathi Gachagua doing his usual stuff of destroying, playing the divisive politics that he used to do in the government. He has now moved them to the opposition and is rocking the boat from within. He's going to destroy them completely. So with UDA and ODM organizing themselves in an orderly manner, there's a very high likelihood that they guarantee the president a landslide victory in the coming elections, as opposed to the bickering that is ongoing in the opposition.
Okay. But if you look back to 2002, unity within the opposition and a coming together of many parties, some of them not really having similar ideology, has never been the easiest thing, Meshach. Anyone watching from outside may see it as disorganization, but if at all, out of this, they still have a year to go. Out of this, if they manage to get to a point of unity, this could mean trouble for President William Ruto and the Broad-Based Brigade, don't you think?
Yeah, thank you, Fred. I think it is obvious to me up to now that it's the time, like my brother Fwamba says, it is that time that meetings will be happening from both sides, and including other political players who may not be giants, but even smaller parties are actually meeting. It's only that most of their meetings, probably they have not been able to invite the media to their spaces, but they are also caucusing together and trying to form or chart their way forward. It is also the most heightened political moment is because we are just 1 year from the next general election, and usually the law prescribes a different thing from what we usually portray, because in Kenya we have the official time for campaign, but again that is in the books. We can start campaign the day after a new election. It can happen today and tomorrow the campaign has begun. So we know this is now the final moment. It is going to be a full year of proper campaign, even though that is not what the law says. And then now, I realized that from 2002, it was a moment that changed a lot in Kenyan politics, because from there, whether you are in the side of the ruling party or the opposite side, there has to be a coalition. Somehow there's going to be a coalition, because after 2002, we saw 2007, it was purely a coalition from this end and that end. And then 2013, the same. 2017, the same. 2022, the same. So 2027 is never going to be different. So we already have seen UDA, ODM, and a few other political parties trying to caucus under one umbrella, and the United Opposition is also bringing themselves together, and this new faction here in the middle are also having the same kind of conversation, because if you look at the luminaries like Honorable Senator Sifuna is talking about, there is no option, we have to unite. And there are a bit of them who feels like there should be more question about uniting with who. So those are just questions. The same way UDA would ask at this point in time, we have to be, not UDA, I mean DCP, I've seen in the news headlines asking, it is not just about people joining us, but who want to join us. So the same as the likes of Caleb Amisi, who clearly supports the candidature of Sifuna, Linda Mwananchi as a group, but careful about who are we joining. So I think it is just a conversation across, and it is never going to stop. Even the election after that, we have already fashioned our politics in Kenya to be a coalition, because we had fashioned our politics for a long time to be around individuals and around ethnic blocks. So unless we come back to serious issues, and then that could be now.
Do you see us getting there? We're still forming around blocks.
I do not want to be too pessimistic. I think we can get there, but it will take us more, including some pain, to get there. I want to back that up with the scenarios of 2024, when the young people rose across the nation and said, for this idea, no. For this kind of idea, yes. It doesn't matter where we come from. We might get there, but not too soon, and it has to have some pain around it.
Yes, but the pain of coalition building, and this is across board, is what we're looking at now. Allow me to welcome onto the panel Dr. Sarah Mwakuna Nti Kilemi, PhD. She is a governance and leadership expert. It's your very first time on this panel. It's a pleasure to have you here, Madam. Karibu sana. Yes, we're just considering this coalition building and the movements that we're seeing across the political divide. Yes, ODM and UDA are heading for a 3-day retreat to just clean out their house even before they start coalition talks. Meanwhile, we're seeing the kind of activity on the other side. One of the biggest discussions this week has been about this Azimio, the revival of Azimio. And people are wondering, okay, of what use is this Azimio for right now? We were already talking about the United Alternative Government, and it looked like they were working together as a group. Now President Uhuru Kenyatta shows up, then Azimio is there, and there seems to be a lot of confusion on that side. Do you think that this is just a direct result of the workings in working towards a coalition, and that it will ease off in a matter of time?
Thank you so much, friend, and good morning, my colleagues. You are here. First of all, let me say that every democracy requires a very strong and a credible opposition, because that's what checks what the government is supposed to do. So coalitions will always be there. And what the issue that is there is not really that we need the coalitions. It is that every party that wants to be in that coalitions want to be relevant. And so in the process of trying to claim their relevance, that's where you see this bickering. And some of it we see like it's very, personalized kind of discussions that we are hearing. So the President Uhuru, I want to commend him, because for us who are on the ground, because for me, I'm on the ground with the Mwananchi every day. I hear what they say. I hear their daily complaints, is that they're asking themselves, are these people going to unite? Are they going really to get us from what we have? Because if you listen to everybody right now is complaining. And what they are complaining about, they are looking at what structure is going to be there to get us out of this. So I think it will work. What will happen is we have to continue ourselves hammering to them that let it not be coalitions of self-interest, but coalitions that will really deliver to what the common mwananchi is saying. And right now, what the common mwananchi is saying, whoever wants to have coalitions with the structures we have right now, they have to tell us what they can do different from what the structures are doing. The ones in the opposition, for us, we are thinking, you know, it's like where you say we have hope. And I still think there is hope. What might happen is the internal democracy policies of the parties will come to play when we start now asking, how are they going to field candidates?
Yes.
Other levels, not the president. We have agreed for the presidential candidate, we have to have one.
Yes.
But what about the others? If the say let's all field our own candidates, then the guys who are already there will have an upper hand.
Okay.
And so you have an opposition with maybe we get a president, but what about the others? It's not about the president. It's about those who work with the president with the agenda that they have.
Yes.
So I think we're on the right track, and let all of them retreat. But as they retreat, let them realize that mwananchi is watching.
Okay. So one of the issues around coalition building is the space that each person in this coalition will occupy. And if you look at the front page of the People Daily, it talks about the NADCO's executive power push. Powerful political players are quietly reviving proposals to expand the executive, setting the stage for a high-stakes battle that could redefine alliances, succession politics, and the 2027 race. They're talking about, and they've put this structure here from the president, deputy president, prime minister, deputy prime ministers, and other spaces that people may need to occupy or to even negotiate around when talking about coalitions. And this is across board, that even the president, William Ruto, when he's talking to ODM and talking to other people, he's keen to promise or to negotiate on positions for some of these leaders. Same thing to the united opposition. This is what we saw with BBI. This is what part of what was discussed in the NADCO report. Do you see that the conversation now, in as far as coalition building, will be about positions in the executive and not more about the mwananchi?
Of course, politics is about power, and people talk about sharing of power. Power is supposed to be representative, and for that reason, there's a very high likelihood that both sides may want to push for the positioning of that nature. However, I would want to go a little back a bit. In terms of the Azimio, the question you asked about the Azimio reorganization. Whatever is happening today is almost a guarantee that there's no likelihood that the opposition will field one presidential candidate. They will not, because the kind of conflicts that are emerging are so reminiscent of the 1992 conflicts between Matiba, Kibaki, and Jaramogi. So the situation of 2002 is totally different from what we are going towards in 2027. Because 2002 was about a new regime. Moi was in retirement and people wanted reforms. So people who coalesced around Mwai Kibaki coalesced around him on the basis of an ideological framework of reforms. But the current arrangement under the united opposition, or the so-called united opposition, because it's not united at all, is based on a selfish nature of just saying, we want William Ruto to go. It is not based on anything that is progressive for the Kenyans. And therefore, there's no likelihood that they'll get anywhere. Look at the kind of rhetoric that Gachagua is advancing today. He has come out so strongly to start insulting other opposition leaders, belittling them. And that's the narcissistic nature that he also exhibited when he was in government. In fact, I read somewhere Moses Kuria saying that the president must be celebrating wherever he is, that he got rid of Gachagua, and now that's a problem handed over to the opposition. So there's no likelihood that they'll be together. So even if they come up with the structure, there isn't a reorganization or re-entry of DAP, for example, into Azimio, was a reactionary thing. If you look at the Sifuna rally in Western, it so much rattled the opposition more than the government because those guys with the entitled sense of, those with the sense of entitlement in terms of age, experience, and political control are not believing that somebody like Sifuna has overtaken them within the opposition ranks. So for them to remain relevant, they have tried to revive Azimio under that structure, under the leadership of Kalonzo Musyoka. On the other hand, the DCP leader, having seen that these guys are trying to reorganize themselves to be strong, he has started giving conditions to some of those people who come from Mount Kenya. He is saying that you cannot go to Mount Kenya without going through him.
And we'll come to discuss that.
Which means that he's trying to prefect other leaders, and they have rejected. I have seen somebody like Munya coming out so strongly to call Gachagua a lot of names. Are those people who are going to work together? They are not going to work together. And that gives William Ruto a very big advantage.
Right.
Getting to the sharing of the positions. You know, there was a campaign narrative that the president used in 2022, that it was about Kenyans. It's about seeking leadership so that it serves Kenyans, as opposed to seeking leadership to have positions. Therefore, I do not think if on the side of President William Ruto, positions are such a priority even to date. But the practical nature of power, like I said, the practical nature of power as it is, in the name of being accommodative to other interests, then it will be possible that we might be supporting the 5-man structure or 5-man and women structure that we have as opposed to what we have right now of the president and the deputy president.
Right. Allow me to welcome to the panel Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui, a very familiar face on this panel. Karibu sana Wakili.
Thank you very much.
We're just looking at the current push by different political formations towards coalition building and the rigors they have to go through, the pain that has to be felt, because clearly we can see there is some pain. We're wondering whether or not after this pain there'll be relief, and probably whether or not a coalition will actually come up. But the front page of the People Daily now talks about NADCO's executive power push. These are discussions that have been there even in the BBI about a widened executive, and probably this could help resolve some of the coalition questions being asked. Which position will I occupy, if at all we get there? Do you think we are at that position? Do you think there's a genuine discussion about political formations in as far as coalitions are concerned? And do you think this kind of executive structure will help in resolving the kind of problems we're seeing both in the opposition and even in the current broad-based arrangement?
Thank you very much. It's a tragedy that we are where we are right now, because our politicians do not seem to take the benefit of learning lessons from the past or from that which is around them. It is not unusual to find disagreements in political formations. Look at Botswana. And last week we discussed about that when I was here with you. Dr. Khama and Boko had a pre-election agreement, but they fell out, and they had really, dug into removing the political party in power. Eventually, of course, Boko won. Where is Khama? He's out, quote unquote, in the cold. It's usual. Look at the German Green Party, for instance, and in the Netherlands. So that is, it's not unusual. So we should expect that it will happen. So what the Kenyan person should be asking is, they who are, craving to be in power, what do they have to offer to the Kenyan people? Right now, the average Kenyan is wholly oppressed, socially, economically. In the political front, you find that State House has become a podium for advancing the entrenchment of the current regime. That, in my view, is not the purpose or the use for State House. But the current incumbent needs to entrench himself, seeing that that's where he has a controlled environment, and he has a cloak of being neutral in there. Now, the other side on the opposition, of course, you have people who want, again, to seize power for the sake of power, political power, end of story. Do we have a person who is visionary among the opposition, because right now you have a president who has no shame telling us, you know, we are shifting from the wheelbarrow, better, policy. We were going to Singapore. Now we are shooting to the stars in 2060. And we do not even have a policy paper. And he said he's going to convene a national dialogue, whatever that is. The other side is not telling us, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with your foreign debt. This is how I'm going to teach, help in the teaching profession or in the employment. We are not hearing that in terms of policy. When you look at Tanzania, for instance, before Magufuli came into power, we had the same scenario. Of course, the Tanzanian situation is slightly different in the sense that they have one dominant political party, the CCM. And Magufuli's dynamism and the change in the leadership style that he entrenched, up to today, the Tanzanians are experiencing Kibaki style, the fruits of that leadership. The economic transformation that he brought about in Tanzania has been so reverberating, very, long-lasting, that even today, you can actually see that going on. So the persons in the opposition right now, and I heard Famba saying that the opposition was befuddled, totally, rattled by Sifuna's meetings. I don't think so. I don't think so. But beyond Sifuna's meetings, I question, and I have nothing personal against him, what is it beyond Mimi Sifuna? What is it do we have that he's going to present to the Kenyan people? And I've heard people say that, well, if it will not be Sifuna on the ballot, that's it. We will not join the coalition or, in the opposition, or we will not be, and so on and so forth. But what is it that you're going to offer that is so different from this presidency? What are you going to project to do that is different for the Kenyan person's existence to change? Look at for Azimio, for instance. What is so different now about Azimio when Uhuru is out of power, as opposed to when he was in power and he failed to clean, as it were, the power that they were looking for? And look at the UDA, ODM, sort of, superficial merger. What is it that you have in you that you tell us, I'm going to take the second position without any guarantee, and yet you have someone right now seated there in the name of Honorable Kindiki, who you're mocking, and you have no guarantee that this person who's playing those shenanigans with Kindiki, and he played the same shenanigans with Honorable Gachagua, will not play that with you 1 month after the 2027 election. What guarantees do you have? This person had whatever he signed with Honorable Gachagua, with Honorable Kindiki maybe, and I was here probably, he demanded of Kindiki, give me the resignation letter, do not date it. So what do they have? Now, is this disclosed to the Kenyan people who are members of ODM, of the Azimio and so on and so forth? But there's a problem with Azimio, as I see it, in my humble view. Although they say they're going to rebrand, you find that Jubilee somehow has taken a silent, undercurrent position. Even in Azimio, I do not see so much more about them being prominent. Okay. However, we have a fractured ODM, but yet ODM is a member of Azimio, a prominent member. How will they not risk a fracturing of Azimio if you have these forces that are aligned to the president right now, coming in and showing up and surfacing in Azimio meetings? They are moles, and their sole reason is to gather information to know how you program, you want to go forward as Azimio. How will they prevent that? I do not know. Then, is ODM still, strictly speaking, in Azimio? So all those issues will play out. But in the end, Kenyans want a leader. Right. They do not want a power-hungry individual.
All right. Yes, indeed. Politics for the sake of it, and leadership for the sake of it. That's the assessment so far on the issue of coalition building. Mwananchi, ngoja kwanza. Anyway, we'll continue this conversation after the break. You're watching TV47 Breakfast. Do stand by for that.
Kitele yangu na trade ikakunyuma. Oh my god, he left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The
cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tangulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition.
Booyah!
We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition.
Booyah!
We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona, hiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo ni tonga commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Your turn. Mzee ni weekend.
The Democracy for the Citizens Party, DCP, says it is not ready to negotiate political alliances ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking during a meeting with grassroots leaders at his Wamonyoro residence, party leader Rigathi Gachagua said DCP's immediate priority is to strengthen its grassroots structures and expand its support base before engaging in coalition negotiations.
Walitaka tushinde mikutano Nairobi. Our core principles. I said no, I'm against that. Kila mtu aende pahali ako na umaarufu. Amobilize watu yake. Mimi nifanye. Kalonzo afanye. Matiang'i afanye. Martha afanye. Wamalwa afanye. Sifuna afanye. Tukimobilize watu wote si basi tuketi. Na hakuna haraka.
Gachagua argued that no political party can negotiate from a position of strength without first establishing a solid nationwide support base.
First things first. How do you choose a candidate before you consolidate? We also need to sit down to kiambua ni nani. We look at the level of consolidation because that will be a factor. What have you consolidated? What are the numbers? Then tuongee for the comfort of the people of Kenya. Because I can see the people are concerned about the naming of a single presidential candidate.
This as he maintained that coalition talks will only begin once all like-minded parties have consolidated their political strength.
Sisi tuko na zaidi ya mwaka moja. There's no hurry. Mimi am consulting na mumekuja hapa kuconsult na mimi. Mimi naendelea kuuza chama. I'll be going to Kajiado, I'll be going to Narok, niko Nairobi, niko kila pahali.
His position comes at a time when the united opposition remains divided over both the timing of coalition negotiations and the unveiling of a joint presidential candidate. Meanwhile, reports indicate that former President Uhuru Kenyatta hosted Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka at his Ishaweri home on Wednesday. According to sources, Kalonzo is seeking Uhuru's intervention to persuade Gachagua to tone down his hardline position and embrace coalition-building efforts. He is also seeking support in resolving internal disagreements within the opposition, as leaders work towards presenting a united front ahead of the 2027 general election. Whether these efforts will bridge the widening divisions within the opposition remains to be seen as political realignments continue to shape the race ahead of the 2027 general elections. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
All right. We continue this conversation, Meshach. That across board with this coalition building, it would appear many people are just very comfortable having these discussions in the boardroom. And this has always been the trend. That listening to Gachagua, he says, go out there, mobilize the people, mobilize the masses first. Don't just sit in a boardroom and discuss what should be or what could be or why we should give you the position. This, it may be playing out in the opposition, but it's also happening on the other side of the broad-based arrangement that people feel there's a general sense of entitlement among very many politicians that they deserve to do these things without necessarily doing the hard work. Don't you agree?
Thank you, Fred. I think, in my opinion, looking at the scenarios that we have, I wouldn't want to say one person is right and the other one is wrong. I think this thing needs to be merged because both of the character traits that are being shown to us as a people can work for the opposition if I were to advise, because politics are actually discussed in the boardrooms. That is the truth. Even in the bigger economies, they discuss politics first in the boardrooms, and then they agree on how to approach the masses, and they actually get the masses to win the hearts of masses to vote the way they would want them to vote. So there is nothing wrong with boardroom, but again, there is nothing wrong, or there is everything right with now going to mobilize, because again, before you sit in the boardroom and agree what is our messaging and what exactly are we going to influence the masses into, you don't need to just go out there and throw yourself to the masses, and you don't have this is why sometimes you realize that they are all out there and the messaging is not the same, and this one is saying something different, the other one is saying something different. But Kenya is so much awake politically, including the younger generation. So, and the space of internet in Kenya has made it so difficult for politicians to also hide. Because you say this today, what I'm saying here now, somebody will have this clip even 10 years later and say, this was your position just a while ago. So this is why the boardroom meetings are very important, maybe to help them understand what is, even if we are using different languages, but the objective of the message remains the same. So boardroom becomes a very critical point. But mobilizing your masses is also very key, because that's perception. After the boardroom, politics is about now the perception. What perception have you created? So when they go out there, somebody like Rigiji in the opposition corner has created a good perception for his party and for himself that I control this space. So he will always keep telling the other ones, go find a space to control. And some of them have not shown clearly what space do they control with the masses. And that one cannot be neglected. However much somebody would want to say, that doesn't matter. It also matters. So I don't want to look at it like Rigiji is 100% wrong or this other side is 100% right. I think they need to bring themselves to that table and agree that if your strength is that mobilization and creating that perception, and somebody's strength might be in the boardroom coming up with the clear messaging and everything that is supposed to be done to give agenda. Because again, you've had presidents in different occasions telling them, what is your agenda? And the people are beginning to buy the idea that they don't have the agenda. When the president is posing those rhetorical questions, na agenda, hawana, na strategy, hawana, those are the perceptions that are being created. So somebody needs to bring his or her strength on that boardroom to bring that agenda. And another person needs to bring their strength in those mobilization to articulate that agenda to the people so that it can rebuttal the perception that is being created on the opposite side. So personally, I think the united opposition or the entire opposition need to put their house in order. But if they want people to choose who is right and who is wrong, that will be the end of opposition.
Yes, but listening to the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, he seems to be making a lot of sense, saying that you cannot come to the boardroom, make demands, yet you're not putting in the work out there. Of course, when they look at the front page of the People Daily and they look at the structure, many people may be angling for one position or the other. And the feeling is that I cannot be doing all the work, then you come demand for a position later on. Doesn't it make sense that at least go out and do something? The front page of the Star, yes, there. I think because they needed to put Kalonzo Musyoka there, they struggled to get a file photo of him on top of a car, because we rarely get to see him in such a position. Don't you think it is true that there are some politicians who are just sitting back and waiting for others to do the work, the job for them?
It's true. But let me say that boardroom discussions and in grassroots mobilizations do not have to be events. It's a process. And these processes can go on simultaneously. those who are strategizing in the boardroom don't necessarily have to be the ones at the grassroots level. So for me, I would say that the negotiations on the structure that they foresee to make can be going on while they are still mobilizing the crowd. And where you see people talking like that is when there is a one-man show. Because if it's a team, there are those who are looking at the strategies, and those are the boardroom guys. We don't see them in the field. But Gachagua is right to say that you cannot also tell us to come to the boardroom when you have nothing to show. So the grassroots mobilization is very important. Right now, every Kenyan is complaining of a high cost of living. Everybody is complaining of an education sector that is not working, healthy sector that is not working. What they want is those who come to tell us what policies are you going to have to make sure that you address the problems that we are facing right now. And so when they are also told that they don't have an agenda, I don't agree with that. It's just the game. You know, in politics, I have to tell you what you are not doing, even though you know you are doing it. So Gachagua is right to say that let every leader who wants to tell people they have something to offer go to the ground and mobilize the people. And if I'm asked, who are you bringing? What are you bringing on the table? We say politics is a game of numbers. What numbers are you bringing? So that's what he is asking. If we all of us went, and he said it very clearly, go to your area where you are specializing. If you're in the Mount Kenya region, what are you bringing? If you're in Nyanza, what are you bringing? And he said there is no need of converting the converted. Mount Kenya, they cannot be going there, all of them, to bring the president. They now need to shift and they say, we in opposition, where do we go next? We go region by region, telling people what to offer, what alternative do we have? We are being called alternative government. So what is it that will do different from what is being done right now? How do we fight corruption? Because I think that's a main issue. Are they seen as there are people who are fighting corruption? And they hear from me when I hear they are bringing people from the other side, which was stamped to be more corrupt, to come to their side. You start wondering, are we just shifting this corruption from one end to the other? So boardroom meetings, they are required.
Right.
Grassroots mobilization is very important for people to know what is it they are going to get from the coming, these leaders who want to come in.
Wakili, even as you comment on that, there seems to be a similarity in the kind of approach that even President William Ruto has with his party and what the party leader of DCP feels should be done. The fact that these small, numerous parties around here that have no known strength should simply collapse and dissolve into one party. He's tried that, and that's why we're seeing people like Munya coming out and saying, no, there's no one king in the mountain and stuff like that. President William Ruto on the other side is hoping for the same, that those small parties around him should just collapse and create a bigger monolithic UDA party. The thinking is the same, don't you agree?
I agree. Well, these are politicians cut from the same cloth. Let's not forget that. Let's remember that they spring from the Moi template. In having sprung from the Moi template, we must remember as well that Moi's approach to politics was that of a domineering, towering political figure who provided vision and guidance to the nation. And every other person was supposed to coalesce and follow that ambition to its fruition. And if you then fell out, then you did fall out, and in style. Now, when you look at the intent, forget about these malicious painting. But as an aside, let me say, our political parties act does ensure for any person, including her or anybody else, you want to set up a political party. You are, about 18 years old. This is constitutionally entrenched in Article 38 of the Constitution, that yes, you can join and be in any political party. You can form your own political party. You can form your own, called life, or whatever it is that you want to call it. Of course, the registrar of political parties has then to ascertain if the name is okay. So within that framework, everybody has that right. But the question is now, will the exercise of that right to form a political party in the multiplicity of these political parties ensure, as it were, that you have democracy? Look at the U.S. The U.S., for instance, they have frowned very much on a third horse. It's always these, Democrats and Republicans, to their shame, let me see. And if you recall, if I take you back to around, I think, 1992, there was Rose Perot. Rose Perot did actually spring up as an alternative during that period to the presidential candidates that were there. But what happened to him? And he had a mass following, people who wanted to break away from these two political parties. And since then, well, the whole scenario has, again, gone to an equilibrium of the two political parties. Coming back now here. What is the significant advantage? I don't want to call it a political monolith, that you have one huge political party without any opposition that is formidable enough to challenge these political parties in power. The Political Parties Act does ensure that you have the political parties fund, and that accrues out of your going out there to the masses, selling your agenda, and then having people under you, your political party, going to the National Assembly and the Senate. In other words, you have the numbers then to dictate governance. So you do have some advantages of having a political monolith, but that does not mean that you allow the secession, the killing, the negation of other competing political parties. What is important to me is that Gachagua said, yes, come on, go out and mobilize. Don't sit down in a boardroom and feel and express your intent here of entitlement. Now, my supposition is, and I could be wrong, that the meeting between Kalonzo and Uhuru was intent on trying to bridle, trying to, railroad Gachagua into these expectations that he has, that he will be, as the senior most person, and feeling entitled to that position. With respect to him, I don't mean to demean. I'm not speaking for anybody else. It's my own opinion. And therefore, Gachagua seems to be bolting from that conception that he has, that he's entitled. But his entitlement is, as he has expressed before, well, I've yielded the opportunity before to Honorable Raila, and unfortunately now he's deceased. Therefore, I stand the best chance, and I should. But he's not going on the ground. And the fact that he's not going on the ground means, for his own ground, there is some decimation. I saw Mutuse going there and probably getting funding from the state so that he can enlarge UDA's presence there. And there are people there who are keen on overrunning him. So, and like you say, that we can't see you on any podium. Where are you? So they have to go to the archive to look for his images. So I think using his resources, then Uhuru and probably network and influence, then he's expected to tell Gachagua, look, you ought to yield to Kalonzo. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it will happen. And I think the trajectory that Gachagua has taken is that, look, I have laid a blueprint for you using Okalau. You can do it in Matuga. You can do it in Busia. You can do it wherever you are. So go and do it, because now you have the blueprint. Now with that sort of blueprint, once we funnel our own basis, then we can meet that point. And let's not forget that NARC was formed towards now, 3 months towards the election in 2002. So I do not think in respect that is a bad idea. Go strengthen your base and let's see your political support, because that's going to do, in my view, 2 things. A, demonstrate to the people that this is a legitimate person who the electorate actually are backing. Number 2, you will eliminate such frivolous persons who, if they go now to the election, can actually be outrun by the people that you want to, defeat. So it does work that, in my humble view, objectively. Now, these other person, lastly, this person now being accused of, you want to dictate and all of that, he will be absolved. In the way that he has been saying that, look, in Mbeere North, I told you that, look, I don't want to interfere. I want you to have the space. And I don't want to be seen as domineering or imposing my own candidate. As a matter of fact, I'm standing down my own candidate so that you can go. And Honorable Muturi then had the free way to go ahead and do what he did. So he is saying, by example, this is how I played it, and this is how I want to play it. So look, I want the people down there to speak for themselves through you who you say you control or you want dominance in that place, not domineering, dominance in that place. And then we meet, because then you have your own candidate that you say, this will win. That will win. In that way, then we can say that we will form the government, and therefore a majority, and therefore beneficiaries of the political parties fund.
Right.
And therefore, you develop democracy in that way.
Yes. But on this issue of entitlement, it's not just a problem with the opposition, that there are parties even on the other side that are working. Parties and individuals too. Because the feeling is that any person who still feels that they need to be involved in the current politics and has probably served in a senior office, probably as a CS or a Speaker of the National Assembly or the Senate, or any other position that is huge, they feel that they're entitled to these big positions without necessarily doing the work. And I may use the example of the Ford Kenya party, which probably right now is not as big or popular in where it was, in Bungoma and other areas where DAP has taken over. Yet Moses Wetangula will still feel like if at all we are looking at these positions, then I deserve. Don't you think that these are the elements that are going to bring a problem, both for the united opposition and the broad-based arrangement?
First, on the side of President Ruto's side, there is direct support that the president has and has mobilized all over the country. He has that kind of following. And it will not matter whether one person gets the position or the other. Like the president's support in Western is intact regardless of the arrangements that he creates. Because people in Western appreciate the kind of developmental programs that the president has entrenched. And we even had Governor Lusaka the other day telling people that they should be focused on campaigning for the president as opposed to jostling over positions. Because the position of the deputy president is occupied. At least there is a clear arrangement on the side of the government that the party leader or the leader of the government is President Uhuru.
But don't you see that sense of entitlement?
And the deputy president is Professor Kindiki.
Wycliffe Oparanya feels, because he's been CS and he's been deputy party leader ODM, that he deserves something bigger.
Of course, every politician is supposed to be ambitious. You cannot just sit there without expressing ambition. But again, there's only one position that can be available for an individual at any given time. And that's why the deputy president position is under Professor Kindiki, and there are many other opportunities in government that other people can occupy. So I want to address the other issue.
I still want you to address that issue of entitlement, because it does exist there as well.
Of course, it's everywhere.
Very many people, especially those who served as CSs from the ODM side, feel entitled to occupy a bigger position if at all William Ruto wins.
It's everywhere, but you know, it also depends on the kind of value addition someone is bringing on board. There are arguments that they control bigger spaces and they should get better than what they have. But they must also recognize the fact that one position cannot be occupied by many people. Because the government is already stable the way it's organized. If they open that kind of debate, it will be detrimental to the bigger picture of President Ruto's re-election.
Haven't they already opened it?
Like I said, it's just based on ambitions. We've had so many people saying they want to be presidents in the future. So they have to show their people they are ambitious. They cannot just sit there. Now, I would want to get to the point of entitlement. Now, on the side of the opposition, you look at Kalonzo Musyoka, for example. He feels that he's been around for quite a while and he thinks that he's supposed to be the presidential candidate for that side. Rightfully so, somehow, because he has done a lot. He has been in politics for quite some time. But Gachagua, having sat with them, he has realized that there are people who believe in press conferences. They have done 1,001 press conferences and they're not moving. He's realized that that kind of arrangement is not going to work for them. They cannot win. And for him, he's trying to rescue himself, to try to consolidate his own position, to be able to get a number of parliamentary seats so that he can negotiate, maybe in the future with the President Ruto when he wins in 2027. Because he has seen, you look at Mount Kenya East, for example, it's now fully behind President William Ruto, because Kindiki comes from that side. And they've been complaining that when the power is in Mount Kenya West, they say they're Mount Kenya, they should be together. And now when the power, the second in command is Mount Kenya East, they think the Mount Kenya East people are lesser than them. So Mount Kenya is now fully consolidated behind President William Ruto. So these guys,
Mount Kenya is fully consolidated.
No. So these guys who are feeling.
Can you clarify? You're saying Mount Kenya is fully under President William Ruto?
Mount Kenya East in particular.
Mount Kenya.
There is no fracture. There is no Mount Kenya East or West.
You see the advancement of saying that the Mount Kenya is united is being advanced by Gachagua for selfish interests. And even if it got united, why doesn't it get united? Because they now hold second command. And they hold more than 50% of the government right now. They are more in government than any other person. So the only complaints they keep on raising is about the one individual who lost his job because of bad manners after impeachment.
He was never impeached.
And the opposition has made a mistake of accommodating this guy, who is now acting as prefect over them. You see, Kenya is a multi-party democracy. In as much as Gachagua might be right about these guys doing too many press conferences, he is not supposed to be a prefect over other leaders. He wants to have his DCP party be in the mind of everybody when the whole agenda is pursuing is extremely personal. It has nothing to do with the collective efforts. And if people have to watch this space very carefully, you realize that after the elections, Gachagua will not be part of these other people when they'll be in opposition. He'll want to find space to see if he can negotiate with President William Ruto. And unfortunately, I want these opposition guys, that the ones who created this monster called Gachagua, now he's going to devour them. Immediately after impeachment, he was like a political outcast who was not allowed to associate with another person. Then Kalonzo and Eugene Wamalwa went and started identifying with him to continue making Kenyans believe by perception that this guy can still be a leader. And look at what is happening today. Okay. It's going to have a lot of trouble.
I'm still looking for an answer on this issue of entitlement. And Fwamba carefully has, reluctantly, does not want to talk about what's happening in the broad-based arrangement, because the issue of entitlement is also alive there. And it could cause problems.
Of course.
Especially when it comes to the issue of President William Ruto's running mate. Some people feel that it is theirs by right, not necessarily having done the work. It may be easy just to look at the other side, but even in the broad-based arrangement, there is a problem.
Of course, you see, everybody has got their realities, and looking at ODM, for example, the late former Prime Minister Raila, who was the party leader, left 2 senior guys as deputy, and actually the third one and the fourth one came just a year or before he died. And so we've had Oparanya for a long time deputizing Jacom, Raila Amolo Odinga, and Joho alongside. Then later on, a year or 2 before his death, we brought Simba Arati and Abdi Swamad, Sheriff, the governor of Mombasa. All of them, and Ososios, of course, was brought by the time Oparanya was now going for the CS and relinquishing that position. Each one of them have to have a feeling that by virtue of the position I've been holding, it is only natural that I keep moving the ladders, because like it is said out there, too much ambition can break a man, but no ambition might take a man nowhere. So everybody needs to feel like I am ambitious enough, I want to climb the ladders. And that is where the problem is, because sometimes the politicians or the leaders do not know where the line is drawn between you being ambitious as a man, as a leader, and between and the other side of the line where you're now seen as being entitled. Because anybody else who has put in the work, that work is what should show that you deserve the position, and the people should actually be the one elevating you to the position and saying, we want to be led by this. And I think on the side of ODM, it has been playing out like that, because when Jacom and the ODM fraternity brought Joho into the leadership deputy, nobody complained, even in the coast, because even the leaders around the coast region accepted that Joho was a good mobilizer and had done a lot of work to consolidate the vote in the region. The same happened to Oparanya. At that point, when he was brought as the deputy party leader for ODM, I didn't hear anybody within the ODM, even in the Western region, claiming or complaining that Oparanya does not deserve that position. So it is only now that ODM is getting into a conversation around the election of 2027 with UDA, that now each one of those teams are beginning to believe that somebody deserves to be number 2 if the president or the presidency is given to William Ruto, then ODM should take number 2. And somehow, sometimes back, the party leader currently, Uhuru Odinga, had tried to demystify this at some point by saying we might not even go for number 2 because probably he had seen this is going to play out really like this. And so after that, you realize the tension was actually diminishing. And then when the debate was brought again that no, ODM has to have number 2 if the UDA has number 1, then you realize everybody again waking up. Joho goes to mobilize the leaders around the coastal region, and they are declaring, if ODM is given number 2, we have to, as the people of coast, we have to get that number 2. Then the Western region happens like that around the CS Oparanya and all that. So personally, I don't think it is outright entitlement. It is the feeling that Western region, we have supported ODM for a long time. We have stuck with the party and we are majority. We have a majority stake in the party. We deserve this. The other side also feels the same. And even the Luoland, where I come from, they are not left behind. They are also thinking that the party identity is actually living with us. If there is anybody who has incurred loss on this party, it has been us. So they are also feeling that that gives us the opportunity to take whatever position, the highest position that can be found. So the idea is just that the highest position is one, but then you have many players who feel like they fit this particular bit. So it doesn't, the line is very thin between being really entitled and deserving the position. If you talk about being entitled, I look at it from the perspective of where I do not do anything completely, or I do very little, but I want more. That is what makes me, in my opinion, feel like Fred is now being entitled here, feeling of entitlement. And that is where now people are easily relating the likes of Honorable Kalonzo and a few others into that space. You, for example, realize whenever you want to become the number 1 flag bearer of the opposition team, there are 7 by-elections across in parliamentary seats across the country since that time. Not even one of them was your candidate even strong, even your party. We would have seen maybe the by-election here or there, the Wiper party is a front runner or neck to neck with the other side of the coalition, of the divide. Then it would feel like you are really putting in a lot of work. Let's say the right to look for this seat is there. But looking at Honorable Kalonzo, for example, after the burial of Raila Odinga, who he religiously followed and supported for 3 consecutive elections, the space in Raila Odinga's backyard was actually supposed to be his if he did a lot of work. But up to the time Raila was buried and he went for that burial rites and everything, the visit he made with a lot of bulls, I have never seen Kalonzo in Nyanza any time after that. So how do you want to inherit the backyard of Raila, who was your friend, who you supported, just like that? That is now where I see entitlement. Right. You are sitting down and imagining that I should think by my own imagination that Bwana Kalonzo supported Raila so much for 3 elections, so I, as a man from Nyanza, owe him a vote. So I should just wake up one morning and go and vote him without him looking for it. But if somebody works and consolidates and visits and mobilizes, then that is not entitlement.
All right. So far, on the dailies for the past 2-3 weeks, 3 gentlemen have been consistent. One of them is President William Ruto, then former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and of course, Edwin Sifuna. Those are the 3 gentlemen that are being seen. Those are the 3 gentlemen that people know are in the political field. Anyone else?
Is a joke.
They're just questions that we can ask as we come to the end of our discussion, because we just review newspapers and we see, and if at all you're not being seen a year to the general election, how serious are you in running for the top office of this country? Let's move on to another discussion, and could still link it to politics, but because we have very limited time, we'll go a bit fast, and I'll start with you. It's about Vision 2060. And in about 6 days' time, we should be having, according to the president, a national conclave or a national conversation about Vision 2060. And this comes smack as we begin the year of the next general election. When he brought this out, that was a discussion, everyone, including the opposition luminaries, all talking about Vision 2060. And one wonders, is this a ploy to draw the conversation towards his side, to own the narrative, that now we'll be talking about what the president is saying, including Rigathi Gachagua reacting to him? Do you think it is an appropriate time to have such a discussion?
Thank you so much. But before I go to that, there was a comment that was made by my colleague here about Mount Kenya East. I don't know whether you have been to Mount Kenya East.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, you have been there? You know where it is? Mount Kenya, I'm kidding. Mount Kenya East, I happen to come from Meru. And very much on the ground, the entire Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Embu, that's the area that we call Mount Kenya East. They don't live in a different part of the world other than where the other Kenyans live. We have the same high cost of living. We have the same problems in education, the same problems in health, the same problems with jobs for our young people. So if anybody comes and it tells you that Mount Kenya East is actually for the regime that is in power right now, that's when I only say they better visit the Mount Kenya East. There is a difference when people are given money to be told raise 2 fingers or 3 fingers, or raise even 10, because you need that money now. What we need to know is, what do people say when they are left on their own? They say we are not making our ends meet, and that's a problem. And so the Mount Kenya East also does, there are people who don't want just to be lumped together. We have the whole Mount Kenya. We have our own issues. We feel that coalitions, whether they are within the Mount Kenya or within any region, they should go with respect. Respect the parties that belong to the Mount Kenya East. They form part of the Mount Kenya region as a whole. Whether it is a small party or a big party, we all of us deserve the respect. So what I want to say is, whether we are forming a coalition for Mount Kenya East, first of all, there should be mutual respect. We should have a common agenda we are pushing, which addresses issues of both the side of the mountain, and there should be nobody who decides, now I'm the prefect of all of you, all your parties need to come under me. And Gachagua said he didn't say that. I think at least I listened to him yesterday. He said, let's work together. But let's work together also respecting, do not demean the other leaders, because every leader is a leader. So for Mount Kenya, I do not think that I can say they are for the, whatever he said we are, we don't belong there.
I'm happy that
you have been informed.
I'm happy that Dr. agrees that people should practice their democratic rights, as opposed to what Gachagua is trying to push.
And because of time now...
so let me go now. I was just actually...
Because of time, let me advise you, because we only have about 9 minutes, this will be your final comment. Yeah.
So you asked about the Vision 2060. First of all, I think you don't talk of something that you are thinking to establish without having a clear analysis of what you want really to establish. So I feel the president is trying to kind of, you know, there are these games, they try to cover the problems that are coming by trying to show us now we are even moving ahead. Nobody has done an analysis of what we achieved in 2030. What were the lessons learned? Has he had a team that has learned the lessons learned? And these lessons are the ones we want now to advance in order for us to come to the 2060. Or is there something that is being covered so as for us now to start focusing on how we are going to Singapore, or we stopped going to Singapore? I don't know where we are going now, because they realize we won't get there with the current problems that we haven't even resolved, or the lessons that were learned from 2030, which we need to factor in the 2060 vision. So first of all, who are the people who sat down to come up with that strategy? Because we are being told we are going there 2060, but now I'm going to form a team that is going to tell us how to get there. For me, that I see as misplaced priority right now. And at the same time, I see as something that was premature. It needed to be very well articulated by the experts to tell us these are the lessons that we have learned, and these are the strategies we want to use for the next move, and it will take us up to 2060.
All right. Is it a political tool for this particular campaign, and should it be?
Beyond the political tool. You know, this president is a puppet. He's a puppet of the colonizer. He's a puppet of the World Economic Forum. And I would advise every Kenyan to have a look at what the World Economic Forum is. It constitutes a group of unelected persons who make up world policies about digitization, land use, and that is why they have affordable housing. They're having affordable housing in Seattle. The worst case scenario in the US for housing is right there. And we have a slum in Kibera. And this president tells us, you know, we'll have affordable housing and therefore we'll have good housing. Excuse me, which slum have you seen go down? Using his affordable housing nonsense. With respect to him. I mean, but he's told, you know, engage that. There is not a single project, not a single thing that he mounts that is his own. He has to get the blueprint, and he has an approval. And he went to South Africa, he went to France and tells the world that we want to have a new financial blueprint for the world. Excuse me, where is it? What does he do instead? We have De La Rue having the same colonizer coming over, taking over, printing our own money, and we do not have our own independence. We do not have a president that has a sense of patriotism. What is being patriotic? How did he come up with this Vision 2060? Excuse me, wait. Have a look at Vision 2060. Somalia has one. Go to the portal for 2060. Just do a good, you know, a search. 2060, Vision 2060. That is where the colonizer wants to take the world. They who wield power in the world. That is where they want to. And I've always said there's an apex. And I'm not doing this, you know, for those people. I'm just saying that right at the top, there are people who want to dictate how the world should be. And they want to have a dictatorship. And if you go back in time, you will see in the 1930s, you had technocracy as a form of governance that they wanted to have in place. Now this is playing out real time as we watch. Technocracy is playing out in South Africa. And you have all these NGOs that are being funded by the same people who are now the puppet masters of this president, telling them, the South Africans, chase out the rest of the Africans. Chase out them from South Africa. But what do they want? They want to merge South Africa, Namibia, and Australia as one unit. Now you have Vision 2060. You ask this president, so how did you come up with that? Where did you get these from? And why wait. Why didn't we have Vision 2050? Give us 25 years from now, or Vision 2051, so that we have 25 years, you know, planning time. Why Vision 2060? This is a blueprint that is given by the colonizer. And it entails, and I beg the Kenyan people to dig up what it entails. It digs up, when you dig up, you will find it talks about land use. That land use means that you do not have private ownership of land. Private ownership of land. That is the end game. That means that you do not own private land. Secondly, that your own individual rights are diminished, that you have a monolithic state that is supposed to be, in Elon Musk's words, his own words, is that you will have free basic income, high basic income, because they want to have AI. And every doctor in this country that is out there applauding and lauding AI, you know, telemedicine and all of that, I promise you, your job is gone. Your job is going. I don't know which is this person that you can celebrate the guillotine being on your neck and you see it going on. That is where we are headed to.
Okay.
Familiarize yourself with Vision 2060. This is a colonizer's puppet. He does not have a vision of his own, and that is why we are being railroaded into a debt system. And so that everybody then can be in debt, and we're told, oh, you Kenyan people, you know, you owe, as a congregation, as a conglomerate, you owe this amount of money, and therefore, you are our slaves. We are going to liquidate you.
Asante sana wakili. Fomba, is there a risk of having this discussion in an election year?
This is the right time because, you know, Kenya has been going through different economic phases, economic development phases. And it's not necessarily supposed to be attached to an election. No, we are politicizing everything, but Vision 2060 is about development. Like you see, 2 years after independence in 1965, we came up with the sessional paper number 10 that focused on high potential areas in terms of development. Then fast forward, 2012, we had the sessional paper number 8 that came up with addressing the inequalities, especially in respect to arid and semi-arid lands. President Mwai Kibaki, in 2008, came up with Vision 2030 because he realized that the way the world is advancing, we say we are in a global village. So we cannot live in isolation. We must be competitive with what else is happening outside there. We need to know, we need to benchmark and know what is happening. And you see, Vision 2030 was so much in line with the MDGs and eventually the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which are in line with the United Nations targets. So if we have worked towards 2030, and 3 years from now we'll be at 2030, do you think we should just wake up in 2030 and say that now we want to have a fresh, another leap forward in terms of economic development without a plan in advance? So I think this is the right time. And the subtle message that the president also sent is that if we are getting into this challenge of developing our nation, what kind of right leadership, what kind of leadership are we supposed to have? And that's why people who are literate, illiterate and semi-literate are not supposed to have space at the top. Someone who is at the age of 61 years and he wants to lead us and he has 1 degree all this time, being defined by the academic credentials someone got at the age of 24. That's not acceptable. That means that we are properly led right now by someone with a PhD, and his deputy is a professor.
According to
and
our
that's the kind of friend we are supposed to have in terms of leadership.
According to our constitution, it does not require a PhD for you to be president.
There are constitutional requirements, and then there are real implied expectations of how we are going to run our country in terms of economic
progress. Are we setting new standards for being president?
We need to have people who are well equipped with the right knowledge in the dynamic, in the world that is changing right now, because if you have people who are incompetent at the top, then eventually the country will lag behind other countries. This world is competing, and we need to benchmark with the best, and we must also ensure that we put the best leadership at the top.
Finally, Bwana.
Thank you, Fred. I actually have a different perspective from Daktari here and Wakili. This is my take. It was 2006, around October, to May 2007, when there was public participation, proper public participation around the Vision 2030, which is supposed to end in 3 years. This was happening right after 2005, when Kibaki forced this country with a document when he called Amos Wako and a few teams, sent them to Kilifi, to rewrite what Kenyans had participated in and agreed on in Bomas. But we didn't see the kind of backlash we are seeing. This is what we call entitlement of Mount Kenya. When it was then, the whole country voted, and Kibaki came out and said, I am defeated. Kenyans are on that side, I am on this side. Yeah? That is 2005. But 2006, he ushered the country into development of Vision 2030. And Kenyans participated. This is why we miss Raila Odinga. Even though he was at loggerhead with Kibaki, he didn't come out to start preaching to us the things I hear being preached here. He said, this is a vision for the country. We have to participate. We have to put our thoughts into it. And we all put our thought into it, and we have Vision 2030. So Vision 2030 is supposed to end in 3 years. The president is calling all of us as a country that the vision we had is ending. Should we start preparing and consolidate our voices into what we close our eyes and see ourselves as a country?
Where's your audit?
Wait.
Where's your audit?
Can
2030.
Can you
Right,
wait? I was
our time is up. Our time is up.
Oded is right. Oded is 100%
so,
right.
President is calling.
We should not be selective.
Can you just wait, Wakil?
We cannot be selective.
So we are here. The president only called us that I had called a team, and this team has prepared something for the country
Under whose instruction?
to start. Can you?
Of course, he's elected as the president of the Republic of Kenya.
Did you ask Kibaki that?
Let's allow him.
Wait, Fred. Did you ask Kibaki that?
I didn't ask Kibaki. We didn't ask Kibaki that question, and this time around because William Ruto want to ask the question. That is
because
it.
now President William Ruto is calling us as a country.
Yes.
And before we even look at the document which has been prepared, we have started. Why don't we go on the table and say, as a Kenyan, I think we should start with auditing the Vision 2030.
Yes.
And then we go this way.
Yes.
But here you are backlashing under whose order?
Even
simply
before
because he is William Ruto.
Yeah.
That is what we call entitlement. And some of us are not going to condone this.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Allow me, we're out of time, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Mesha Kodede. Allow me to acknowledge you.
It's too much for my
Lady and gentlemen,
standards.
allow me to acknowledge you. Asanteni sana. Mesha Kodede, political commentator, former political analyst. Dr. Sarah Mwakyuna Nti Kilemi, PhD, governance and leadership expert, and of course, Harrison Kinyanjui, advocate of the High Court. Thank you so much for your time at TV47 this morning. And I like the way you ended the show. On a high. That is how we should be ending the show. After the break, we switch gears and talk matters World Breastfeeding Week. Dr. Sarah Njeri Maitho, general practitioner, will be in studio with Anno Dida. I'll be back later on Man to Man Talk, the silent pressure of being a provider. See you there. Good morning.